Hey everybody, before we start the show, just a quick note from our partner, sharkscope.com. Do you play online poker at one or more sites? Want to find out what your real profit and ROI numbers are? Once you register, Sharkscope gives you up to 10 free searches a day. So go ahead, head on over to sharkscope.com and put your screen name in the player statistics section. If you've opted in, all your stats will appear. If you haven't, you'll get a snapshot of your stats. Looking to combine all your screen names into a group and see where you really stand for as little as $10 a month, you can access these advanced features. Sharkscope, the best for over 10 years. Track your statistics, avoid the sharks, and find easier tournaments at sharkscope.com. Welcome to the 2+2 Pokercast. I am your host, A. Schwartz, alongside Roscoe P. Coltrane.
What's up, white boy? I eat grass.
And Mr. Terrence Chanty. How you doing?
I thought you quit that stuff, Ross. No, it's another beautiful day in downtown Vancouver. What a paradise! Let's do our poker show.
Why don't we do this?
It's unethical behavior, but it's unethical behavior week, as Ross has pointed out.
Yeah,
we got some stuff to talk about.
Scandals galore.
People behaving badly in the
NVG
field poker world.
NVG blew up this week. It just went off. Like old school NVG style.
Yeah. Well, this is the shit they live for. I mean, people not paying each other money, or people paying each other late, or, especially, high stakes, well-known players.
Oh yeah,
talking shit about each other. That's the stuff that is that it puts the G in the NVG for sure.
It is. it's like crack for NVG. It was funny how it exploded this week.
You know that a thread has hit its pinnacle when somebody makes the Hitler remake video.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
We haven't seen one of those in a few years.
Love those. I don't know if you guys. Oh, so Ross, you're saying MJ this week sent me a link by text about something that's happening in Vancouver, and it is something called Bacon Con, which sounds like heaven. I mean, I can't believe I didn't know about it. Ross, you're saying you sent me something, and I must have missed it. You already knew Bacon Con was a thing?
Well, yeah, I sent it to you probably, I think, yeah, you and Terrence both read it probably 4 or 5 months ago. I saw that, and I sent it on Skype, but it's okay. I won't take credit for it.
I thought we even mentioned it, whether we should do it on show. I thought we even mentioned it on the show before.
Did we?
Yeah, but I mean, I did have to, you didn't send details, so I had to Google the results and said Vancouver's getting its very own bacon festival this fall. Vancouver's bacon eaters will get their very own festival and the opportunity to eat all the bacon they want when the Bacon Convention makes its debut this fall on September 24 and 25 at the PNE Forum. We will have a pancetta paradise, 100 booths occupied by local breweries, distilleries, bakeries, chocolatier, and bacony retailers. That's going down in that's 2 weeks from today, or sorry, 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 Saturdays from now. Tickets $25 at the PNE, and what's funny is that I read this on dailyhive.com for their Vancouver, and it's just a bunch of vegans like just jumping in the comments.
Of course,
people are Hitler. I hope there are vegan bacon options with the rising awareness of the negative effects of meat and animal agriculture. And then somebody else talking about that pigs are as intelligent, as emotionally complex as 3-year-old children, and this. So I'm not even cherry picking comments. These are the top 3 comments. The third one is pigs are smarter than dogs. Would you eat your dog?
Wait, and by the way, that isn't transitive. Stop doing that. That's not how things work.
Well, you don't raise your dog for food, and maybe if dogs did taste as delicious as bacon, maybe we would.
I'm not eating my dog. I love my dog.
Well, a lot of people raise pigs as pets as well, and those people don't eat their pigs. But right. Some pigs are raised for food. And
so it's funny. Like, I live in a house. My wife's vegetarian. My daughter now has become vegetarian. My son and I are the only meat eaters. So but this grocery store that is close to me had a deal on whole pork loins. Have you ever seen these? Like, they're like 5 pounds. It's this giant loin, right? And instead of buying, you can make pulled pork, whatever you're going to do. But instead of buying, I love pork chops, so I buy tons of pork chops. Well, you can just buy a loin for like, I don't know, a quarter of the price it would cost you to buy all the chops. So I have this thing in my kitchen yesterday. I'm butchering this thing up. I got a big smile on my face because I'm looking at all the great food that's going to be happening around the kitchen. And my wife and daughter are tilted beyond belief, like that this giant slaughterhouse was going on in their kitchen. They weren't happy at all.
You're not making them cut it up for you. You're doing your own dirty work. That's all you ask for.
But they don't want it to get close to. It can't be within 5 feet of any of their food.
Yeah.
We're on full float. So the Bacon Con, should we do? A show from there seems extreme, but we got to go to that thing anyway and at least report back.
Yeah,
I'm down.
we should go. I can bring the handheld recorder. We can get a segment out there or something.
There we go. We can do that. Something fun around there. It's just after your fight, you'll be back to carb load or like calorie load. You'll be right in.
Let's just call it getting fat. Let's
Grease
be
load.
real. There's no macronutrient that is going to be specifically isolated and pointed out as a thing that I can eat. I can just eat it all.
All right, let's do that. Quick hockey update. My kid's on the Stone Bubble. You mentioned it last week. Well, now he's the actual Stone Bubble because they've divided.
You said it was like 8 with the 9 people left or something?
Yeah, but they had one group, the A1 and A2 group, together with 5 goalies and then 4 goalies in the A3, A4 group. My kid's in the A3, A4 group. But now he's been put on the A4 team for a tournament coming up. So one of the 2 goalies on this A4 team are going to be the short end of the stick. So now it's 50-50 with him and another guy. But we'll see how that breaks down this weekend.
For rolls. It's less Stone Double that heads up for rolls then.
Yeah, usually goalies are buddies in the room. Now they come in and just kind of glare at each other, like, yeah.
Oh, nice. I love little kid rivalries. It's the best. Just teach them to hate your fellow competitor. That's the real lesson about sports. It ain't about whether you win or lose. It's whether you hated the other guy enough.
That's it. Let's get into some in case you missed it.
How did he miss the open goal? 6x4, and he comes up 0. Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it!
He's missed it! How on earth did he miss that?
In case you missed it, the World Championship of Online Poker 2016 edition is underway over at PokerStars. It's early over there, T. Not a ton is going on happening yet. I think they're in event 15 or something is going on today. But there was an interesting story. Sean Deeb, our buddy, he was on the show a couple weeks back. Quickly, he won his 4th World Championship of Online Poker title. He took down the $1,050 no limit 5-card draw championship. But he tweeted something out that I thought was interesting, and I want to get your take on it. This is him, 1 of 6 in the no limit 5-card day 2 in the big ante, and wife's water broke when we made day 2. And good luck. And then he says, good luck to his wife and baby Chance. The name of his baby's going to be called Chance. So basically what he's saying here is he's deep and he's at a final table in the WCOOP, and they didn't time this properly. So now she's at the hospital by herself. And I was like, wow, okay. I mean, I get it. They're a poker playing family, but is that something you would do, T, if you're engrossed in the World Championship of Online Poker? If you were, I mean, granted, Sean probably takes, he's more of a professional poker player than you are these days. But back in your heyday, if there's a great 1,000, 2,000 head up limit hold'em game, what's your choice?
Well, I think that's different. I think you really do have to make a distinction between just a great gash game that you can walk away from without any actual penalty and making, running deep in a tournament. I think running deep in a tournament, I think it's absolutely acceptable behavior. Like this is how he puts bread on the table, and I think his wife is very understanding of that and very supportive. I don't think I've actually met her. Maybe I have met her before. But anyway, she's kind of married into this life, and that's the end result. And it sucks for him, and it sucks for her too. But I mean, she's the one doing the hard work, and so it's an unfortunate timing. But I think you got to play the tournament out, and I'm sure she was really supportive of that. The GL to Twitter handle is what sends it over the top to me. Of course, Sean Deeb, notoriously, famous just for these incoherent yet kind of witty tweets, and
right.
That's pretty much the class of it. There's no like abbreviation or punctuation, but he can be pretty funny when he wants to.
Yeah, no, if you can decipher his tweets, they're always
right. Exactly. Yeah. Whatever happened to the old Deep Translator Twitter account? I really missed that account.
Great.
That was there used to be an account. It was actually called Deep Translator, and he actually turned Sean Deep tweets into passable English. I guess over the years he's gotten a little bit better, and the demand for the Deep Translator isn't as high.
It's not needed, yeah. So to his wife, and congratulations to his wife Ashley and Sean, of course. Their second child was born, Chase. And I think she tweeted something about
Chance.
Chance. What did I say?
It's a Chase.
Chase.
You just dropped an N in there. That's all.
She went through 5 minutes of labor, which made every woman reading that completely jealous because there's stories of 17-hour labor, and she had 5 minutes of labor.
Yeah, so he didn't even need to have to show up. It would have been ridiculous for him to show up. He would or you could have said he could have shoved up and he only would have missed an orbit.
Yeah. In case you missed it, November 9er Gordon Vayo banks the $2.5 million River Poker Series main event at the WinStar Casino in Oklahoma. We've seen this in the past. November 9ers, and I think there's a bunch of reasons for it, I think, but November 9ers tend to do quite well in the interim of making the November 9 and actually playing out the November 9. I don't have anything specific in front of me, but I can recall years back that some have done pretty well. Obviously, they just won $1 million, and they get a big add to their bankroll that they can travel around the world now and enter many more tournaments than they would have in the past. Maybe they're confident, that kind of thing. But it was interesting. 1,054 entries, $2,500 main event. He takes home $600,000. This tournament was a bit strange. Well, first, T, any thoughts on November 9ers doing well?
Yeah, I think it's all of the things you touched on. It's $1 billion score, but I think it's motivation more than anything. Like if you were going to play, if you knew that 5 months from now you were going to play the sit and go where first place pays $8 million and last place pays $0 because you've already been paid the $1 billion, you'd be studying, you'd be working very hard. I'd be playing everywhere. I would play basically as much poker as I can without it messing up my travel schedule and messing up my studying, because you can't just play all the time. I'm sure these guys have to do some studying. And then I would probably take like a long break just before the lead up to the November 9. So it's still September. I mean, if I were these guys, I would be playing online WCOOP as well, trying to play against the best online players in the world, and it makes perfect sense. You need to get experience at this point. I'm sure a lot of these guys are already really experienced, especially somebody like Johnny Bax, but nevertheless, like I think the reason why you see this is A, the bankroll that you've already mentioned, and B, just the motivation, like to go out and play big buy-in tournaments, for the purpose of getting more experience, kind of getting in that zone.
So you mentioned something in there that I thought was interesting. You would take a long break before the actual playing out of the November 9.
I would say a long break. Like I would say, you want, because I would say that if you make the final table in the middle of July, you're probably I imagine you're really burned out, and then so you might not play poker for a couple weeks. And then I would say like August and September and October are sort of like your training camp, and as you guys know, I go through fight camps, and you want to ramp up and play more and study more, but you can't just do it all the time. You're going to get burned out. You're going to be, you're going to play badly and make mistakes if you kind of just do it the whole time. So you want to have a little bit of a mini training camp, and people are selecting their coaches and they're selecting the poker tournaments that they're going to play. But I would say like the last little while before, you might not want to, burn yourself out just before the November 9 and just, give your brain a break, I think, and give you, take care of your physical rest and all that kind of stuff, knowing that you've got the biggest tournament you're ever going to play coming up in, on whatever the date of the November 9 is. I guess it's the October one this year, isn't it?
October, yeah. I mentioned the $2,500 buy-in. There was a $1 million guaranteed for first in this event. And the way it was originally structured was $1 million for first, $225,000 for second, $150,000 for third. Obviously a ridiculous payout structure, but it's because of the fact they had the $1 million guarantee. And here we go again. And I don't know if I this bothers me to an irrational level that they're using players' funds to drive traffic at the expense of the payout structure. But it bothers me. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm the only one that it bothers this much, but
it's just a poor way to advertise, right? Like I think like the thing is that if you're going to put on a billboard like $1 million guaranteed first place, like, you know, that's tapping into something in poker players that I guess isn't very bright or whatever, like, because, you know, they're not doing anything unethical, and we know this because they're not guaranteeing a prize pool, right? Like when you guarantee a prize pool, that really gets poker players excited. I don't know that guaranteeing $1 million for first gets people excited in this day and age, and at least it shouldn't, because you should have the intelligence to know that this is exactly the sort of thing that's going to happen, that you're going to have $1 million for first and 200,000 for second. And like you said, we see this over and over, and it is, I wouldn't say it tilts me, but I would say that it's frustrating that casinos feel the need to do this, and I don't think it's a very effective mechanism. I think it's kind of insulting to poker players, to be perfectly honest, to sort of say like, oh, we're going to guarantee $1 million for first for this $2,500 event. So basically, as long as we get 400 people, we're not going to lose money on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a guarantee for first, but also a $1 million guaranteed prize pool, I guess, at the end of the day.
Right, but they knew like 100% that they were going to make 400 players.
Sure, with satellites and such, but. Anyway, there's a deal made, of course. Gordon gets $600,000. There's a pretty interesting final table. Lane Flack was there, ends up getting fourth. Grant Hinkle fifth. Lane back-to-back Flack. Still grinding out those MTTs. Good to see. In case you missed it, Alex Dreyfus, who's been on our show, owner of the GPL, GPI, and the Hendon Mob, was called out in NVG. This was the first of the NVG stories this week for some shady swaps that were reported to have happened. A poster named Value H, whose German pro Hendrik Latz started a thread in NVG with the title "Recent Dealings with GPL CEO Alex Dreyfus." In the post, he says he and his friend became friendly with Alex during the World Series of Poker this summer. Alex invited him to the match in the Cube that Aaron Paul played. A couple of days after that, Alex approached him and asked him to swap $20,000 of his cash in Vegas for a bank transfer in euros. This is Hendrik speaking. We met up. I gave him cash, and Alex said he would send the same day. My friend and I put the issue out of our minds because we were accustomed to dealing with multitudes of transfers during the World Series of Poker. 5 weeks after leaving Vegas and doing accounting, we realized we never received the transfer, despite Alex saying he would send the same day and not mentioning for the duration of the summer. We promptly contacted Alex, to which he replied that he never had the intention not to send, but the GPL was struggling and he could not pay at this point. He asked for an extension until the end of August and offered to pay interest. I made it clear that receiving the money on time was more important than interest. He had asked for a trade, not a loan. He then goes on to say that he wasn't sure if he should out Alex for this, but he heard that Alex had done the same thing to Feder Holtz, so he decided to go public so it wouldn't happen again. Latz then stated that Alex had wired the money with 5% interest added on, so he had received his money back plus 5%. Feder then posted right after him what happened with him, and Feder says, Alex approached me and asked for $10,000 cash in Vegas to trade for a bank transfer, stating that he spent $50,000 in the last few days for their studio and now had reaching his daily limits. The same day, I sent him my bank details via email. This is Feder talking, and he responded with, "Thanks, will be processed current next week." Was very busy in Vegas and didn't do my accounting till the end of July, beginning of August, assuming that he wired me the money in euros when this message reached me. I just want to tell you that I'm a bit late. This is Alex talking to Feder. Read the transfer of $10,000, as I spent a lot of resources the last 6 weeks due to our Vegas investment. And I'm in the middle of a strategic financing deal, which, if you allow me to have a few weeks more to process the transfer with interest, would be highly appreciated. I apologize for the delay. Not my style, just entrepreneur life. Hope this is fine for you. Feder responded, "It's okay, but I'd like to get this out of the way as soon as possible." And then he goes on to say he did get paid back by Alex and is telling the story now. So, in the future, people understand that this happened when they did a deal with Alex. So I guess the question, is how bad. I mean, they were both made whole with interest, or what Alex deemed to be fair interest for the time period of the loan. I mean, it wasn't a loan. It was Alex presented it as a swap, $10,000 now, I'm going to transfer you the same day kind of thing. And it turned out that didn't happen. I guess what bothers me is saying stuff like it's the entrepreneurial life, where that really doesn't have anything to do with it for those.
That's the best part of it. I mean, it's tremendous excusing sleazy behavior for, that's saying that this is just what entrepreneurs do really gives you an insight into his moral compass.
So what I will say, though, is that there's a language issue, and we've talked to Alex before.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done with making excuses for the guy speaks English very well. Let's be honest. He doesn't speak it natively. He doesn't speak it at an academic level. But
there's nuances.
I'm long beyond that point. Okay, so I've spent a lot of time, as you can imagine, in my life with people who don't speak English as a first language. And the frequency with which this guy is quote unquote misinterpreted or misunderstood is way beyond any of them. For a guy, look, you're running a business that's primarily English speaking business. If you haven't figured this English stuff out to be able to communicate with people yet, then I'm sorry, this is a big problem. And like you said, he decided on the interest payments, right? He basically he went to two guys and misrepresented what he wanted. And yeah, he paid them back in interest. Does that so certainly he's not one of these various deadbeats who scams people out of money. He's not a slick talking huckster or anything like that. But he intentionally misrepresented people just to get a short.
Do we know that though? Do we know he intentionally misrepresented at the time? Maybe he thought he was going to be able to do it or did it and just couldn't.
Why isn't he communicating? Why is he waiting 5 weeks to communicate? That's ridiculous. If you say I'm going to pay, if I say I'm going to give you some money today in exchange for money in another mechanism, if you haven't sent that money in 24 hours, you should probably be contacting that person. We're talking 5 weeks.
Sure. Yeah. No,
this guy. I'm sorry, but I don't think Alex is a terrible guy or anything like that. But we've now discovered a consistent pattern with him of just not really understanding the code of ethics and the behavior that permeates this community. And to his credit, he releases a statement which I'll let you read in a second, which where he does take full responsibility. But saying this, there's just. I'm sorry, but there's too many smoke signals with this guy that he's definitely not the savior that he thinks he is for poker. That's for damn sure. And it's arrogant. His behavior is consistently arrogant.
Okay, so I'm just going to play devil's advocate in the situations that have come up. He definitely shouldn't be writing things off like it's the entrepreneurial life if he understood what he was saying in that spot, which you seem to think he is, and I
very much think he understands what he's doing. I mean, he thinks of himself as a self-styled businessman and entrepreneur, and it's a very sexy time to be a startup entrepreneur and stuff like that. And I'm sure he's on top of all of that anyway. I don't really see what that can mean. I mean, if there's somebody out there who speaks really good French and tells me that there's some sort of expression where this makes more sense, then please correct me.
I can't speak English.
Right. But what I'll say is the people were made whole. So, if we're judging this and giving it the time, on the show to discuss it and bring it to light, there's on the giant list of poker scumminess, it's probably not very high in my opinion. I mean, these guys got paid off, back their money. Should they have gone down the way it did?
I agree he's not the scummiest guy in the world, but when you're talking about a guy who's trying to make the game on a global, grow the game on a global level, and he makes these grandiose claims about how he's going to change everything and revolution, and how many times that we had him on this show, or that you've heard him in other podcasts saying, look, he's spending all of this money to try to grow the game. He's trying to do this. The guy, we're a little bit tired at the beginning of this guy making himself to be a hero of the poker world, and then he's going around just meeting high stakes players and trying to get like non-consensual 5-figure loans from them. I think that was I agree with that. I think that was terrible the way that it went down, and he shouldn't be doing stuff like that. Absolutely agree. So I mean I just wanted to put it in the overall context because we're spending the overall context of things. He is not Chino or Brad Booth or any of the he's not any of the bad people who have done bad things and borrowed money from people without paying them back.
Right.
So he manages to get to a level that is morally superior to that. Okay, I will grant you that. Are we anything else on this?
Fired.
I mean, I
want to read his.
We're making a distinction here.
We read the other statement, so I want to read his statement. I've already spoken on it. This is him posting in the thread. I've already spoken for a few hours with all the parties involved, a matter that has been settled again with both parties. I've apologized to them both for having failed and respected the original repayment deadline as it was intended. I've also apologized to them for the lack of communication and the non-professionalism that was inherent on my part. We've had a tough summer and a lot of things didn't work out as planned. While I have legitimate reasons to be late, these don't represent valid excuses. I apologize for that, and I'm ready to take ownership of this mistake. I'm not immune to making errors like this. There was never any malicious intent. Eventually, after clearing internal funds, I gave both parties a clear deadline, a day at the end of August, which included an additional fee in the form of flat 5% interest as a financial means of apologizing as well. This was fully respected, and all parties were paid, including that 5% interest. For me, this matter is settled, but I'm not intending to add any comment publicly on this, as is believed to be a private matter. I'm not looking for a public trial on 2+2, but understand that this is something which is unavoidable. Then he goes on to say he'll focus on what he's doing. I don't like that he says we had a tough summer and a lot of things didn't work out as planned. I don't think that has anything to do with it.
That's entrepreneurial life.
Yeah, I mean, this is a straight swap that he negotiated with people that said he was going to do it the same day. So what happened with the GPL really doesn't really enter into it. I appreciate that he apologized for what he said, and he called it what it was. But in putting in that clause about we didn't have a great summer kind of bothers me a bit.
I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, it's a good apology. He says I'm sorry, and that he says he was wrong. But like again, this is the thing. Like if he were just a poker player, it wouldn't be less of an issue. We go back to this topic of is this the scummiest behavior ever? And like we've both agreed, it's clearly not. There's lots of people who don't pay people back money that they owe, and certainly don't pay people back with interest, and simply don't. But those people aren't putting themselves out there as the guy who's going to rescue poker. And maybe he doesn't say that in so many words, but you've always got the feeling from this guy that this is what he's putting himself out there to be. Let's take this sport of from the dirty underground image and terrible backroom image and gambling and all this awful shit, and let's make it an exciting game, esports like style game in a cube where 20,000 people are going to pack a stadium and get excited about this. And then you just make very you don't understand the social world in which you operate. I think is clearly the issue. He's an outsider. He always has been, and that's not his fault. His background is not in poker, but he doesn't seem to have the awareness that he's making these mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, as far as how he presents saving poker, I got more of instead of the background underground type thing, I got more of we had a poker boom, it's gone now, and I'm going to help do something, transfer this to an esport vehicle of some sort to drive more traffic to poker. But regardless, I think it's a good point. All right, let's take a break right there. We're going to come back. We've got some more in case you missed it to get to, and we also have some emails and some hands to get to. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast. Keep it right here.
Hey, Pokercast fans! Don't forget to follow me, Adam, and Ross on the old social medias. I'm at TChanPoker on Twitter, and once in a while I'll even talk poker if I'm not trying to hit him in the face. If Adam ever gets home from hockey practice, he tweets at Pokercast Adam, and Ross is at Pokercast Ross whenever he's sweating the Chicagos. Hit us up and try to keep it to 140 or less. I mean, fewer.
SharkScope.com is the tournament tracking software that tracks players' online statistics, including yours. You want to know who the sharks are so you can avoid them? Head on over to SharkScope and they'll give you 5 free searches a day. And if you log in with your Facebook account, they'll double it to 10 free searches a day. One search could help you avoid a trap that might just win you a tournament. Go to SharkScope.com and register for an account and then start searching. It's that easy. SharkScope.com, the best online tournament tracking for over 10 years. Track your statistics, avoid the sharks, and find easier tournaments at SharkScope.com.
Hey, poker fans, don't forget about the 2plus2.com digital magazine. Each month, a wide array of poker professionals and media write fascinating articles about the game you love. Want to learn about big blind versus small blind hand ranges? How about optimal Jeopardy daily double strategy? Topics like those and many others are covered every month. Head on over to 2plus2.com to see what the magazine has to offer this month.
Welcome back to the 2plus2 Pokercast. All right, let's get back into some more in case you missed it. Continuing on Unethical Behaviour Week, Doug Polk ends up calling out Ben Tollerene in the Alex Dreyfus thread that we talked about before the break. So in that thread...
One of the more interesting tangents of all time in NBG. Like,
yeah.
Like this just comes about
just
completely as a sidebar of the Alex Dreyfus thing, and is probably arguably a lot more interesting than the Alex Dreyfus thing.
It absolutely is. Yeah. And it's the thread's, I think, 5 times as long. But yeah, so in the NBG thread about Alex, Ben Tollerene, who's Ben86, of course, online and also at 2plus2, comes in and posts this. He says, you don't have legitimate reasons for being late. You can't ask for a swap and state you'll pay back at a certain time and then decide to do something else with their money because it's more convenient for you. That's not legitimate. So a couple of posts later, Doug Polk, WCG writer, of course, sees this and quotes it and then responds with, what about agreeing on no limit for PLO coaching, getting some no limit coaching, and then backing out on the PLO coaching because it's not convenient for you? That's way more legitimate. Which obviously is dripping with sarcasm.
That's the sound. You hear that, Adam? That's the sound of 10,000 popcorn bags opening.
Oh, yeah. Popcorn fired up, man. The microwave popcorn got going. Shout out microwave popcorn. So they go back and forth in the thread for a while. And then Doug does a 30-minute video telling his side of the issue.
I think this was after the second thread started, that he recorded the video.
I think it was just a thread that got moved, right? Because it ended up derailing the whole Alex Dreyfus thing, so they just moved the whole thread. And
okay.
This is going to need its own thread, which is a good call by that moderator.
It totally was. It's RR did that, loved it, and Doug did a 30-minute video telling his side. Now, before we start in on all the details and stuff like that, Doug's got a pretty big advantage on Ben when he's telling the story because, of course, Doug has the vehicle, I guess
he's the loudest guy in the room.
He knows how to get his message across at all times. He's very good with social interaction, and so he tells the story. And basically, what he tells the story, and it's basically they live in the same building in Vancouver about 3 years ago, and they become friendly. They agree to do a coaching swap. Doug's no limit because at the time, as you know, Doug was thought of as the best no limit player, heads up no limit player in the world, and Ben was one of the best PLO players in the world. So they decided to swap PLO coaching for no limit hold'em coaching. So Doug spent some time, I think it was 4 sessions or something, and teaches Ben his views and the way he looks at no limit hold'em, and then. Ben says, okay, great, thanks. And then it goes away, and I guess he has to talk about swapping the coaching with his partner at the time that he'd work all the concepts through, the PLO concepts. And then the partner says to him, no, I don't want you teaching Doug what we've done. And so Ben has to go back to Doug and say, oh, by the way, that deal we had, I know you've taught me, but now I can't do it for you. So there's a bunch more stuff about some personal drama where Ben yells and screams at Doug in Joe Forte's restaurant one night or something, and there's a bunch of stuff that kind of seems unimportant to the whole thing. But and then Doug kind of doesn't really do anything about it for a couple of years, and then brings it up in this format in the Alex Dreyfus thread, and basically calls him out to the community saying, "This is unethical what you did. You left me," and calls him a bunch of names, etc. And then he also mentions that Ben sat down with him 6 months later in a cap no limit game to play him heads up after Doug had presumably told him some of his strategies. So that got Doug very upset. So T, first your thoughts on Doug's side of the story, if all of what Doug says is correct, unethical by Ben?
Yeah, from what I understand, I mean, I don't think Ben is disputing tremendously the events and the facts as they've been presented. It looks like this is sort of, the summary you just gave is very similar to both parties' understanding of it. Ben has this situation where he goes back to his partner, whom he mentioned in the thread was transitioning out of poker. He was looking to get out of poker, which is why he thought it would be okay to share this information with Doug when they'd made the arrangement. Now, it's obviously pretty irresponsible of Ben to enter into an engagement knowing that you're going to have to check with your partner, and then not doing that, and then accepting the first few coaching lessons anyway. I think according to Ben, it was only 3 or 4 sessions. It was no big deal. And then once that happened, so he felt bad about it. He allowed, Doug to sort of sit in the background and ghost his play a little bit so that Doug would hopefully get something out of the exchange, but not, the secret sauce, or rather, but just, just to be able to learn a little bit. I think, I do think that Ben, is the guy who's at fault here, and I don't think even he would dispute it. But of course, Doug, being who he is, has turned this into a pretty good opportunity for a look at me sort of situation, and he doesn't come off looking very good in this thing either. Where it seems that the standard format when you've got disputes on this matter is you try to settle it, you try to arbitrate. With whatever through mutual people or whatever like this, but there's not a lot of reason to take it public until you feel that you have no recourse and you've exhausted no recourse, and even then you still have to sort of decide, do I get value out of this? Do I get value out of this in getting something that I want, or do I get value out of it in terms of I'm protecting other people from making the same deal, and or I just want to let people know that I think this guy's a shady bastard. I guess that's the value of this at that point. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
it seems like Doug, it was really personal for Doug because of some of the stuff that went back and forth, some insults, etc. So Doug was taken aback, says he's never been treated like that or whatever. So I think that kind of, for Doug, that was a bit of the motivation. He took what Ben said to him very personally. And that seems to be why, he's coming forward to this. Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer that Ben's in the, I think Ben admitted that Doug got the short end of the stick in this deal. But there was some mention of some software that Ben mentioned, and this is what him and his partner, it sounds like, I might be assuming something here that I shouldn't be, but it sounds like that's what him and his partner had been working on, the so-called PLO Dream Machine, that can run Sims or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how it would work, but that was a bit troubling too, and I think there's another thread even started about that in NVG about discussion about a dream machine. But
I don't know. I understand why it's troubling. I don't think the accusation is that he, has a real-time decision-making software or that he's running bots or anything like that.
No, I don't think it's. It's troubling in the general sense that online poker. We get back to this whole issue about running concurrent software at the same time as you're playing and having some sort of software that fits in the rules that maybe isn't in the spirit of the game. We've talked about this before in the show. Internet poker, a lot of people sit down and they want to play internet poker. They want to play mano a mano. Is that realistic? Probably not, because of all the software that's out there.
This is the thing. I don't think that I didn't watch Doug Polk's video. I don't know if he's making the accusation that Ben is playing. And
no, it wasn't an accusation from Doug. It was a general overall observation from Ben's comments, not from Doug himself, but
So what are we talking about here? The fact that he has software that, like you say, can run simulations, probably does some machine learning, understands game theory. Like, so if we're just talking about that, then like that's, I mean, about the least surprising thing in the world, that the best player in the world at that game would have software that helps him get better at poker. Like,
no, yeah, not surprising. I don't think I characterize it as surprising, just troubling. I mean, because
why is it troubling?
Because it takes online poker further and further away from something that is on an even ground for people. I'm on record for a long time as not, as against some of the software that's been used in the past and is now banned by many sites, and it's taken a while to get it banned. But now that it is,
but do you think that Ben is using software that is banned?
No, I'm not specifically. No. I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, I mean, so what? Like,
saying in
what
a
are
general
we
sense? In a general sense, software that can make you the best player in the world. Like, let's say that the Dream Machine can take a 2 big blind or 100 loser and make him the best player in the world. Is that good? Is it good that somebody that's out there?
How does it do this? It depends how it does it.
I'm saying in a general sense.
How does it do? Like, this is a dream. There's no. The Dream Machine is this nebulous concept. It's not a real thing. It's, plug it. It's not just like, oh, let's plug this into the wall and it turns me into a poker. Like, what is this thing? In 2001, I was using Poker Stove. Do you think like anybody had any fucking clue what Poker Stove was? But now everybody knows.
It's an unknown. The Dream Machine is an unknown variant. We don't know what it is. Obviously,
but in 2001, I was using Poker Stove.
Sure.
And nobody fewer than 5% of people would have even had the simple concept to say, like, oh, I wonder how Ace King does against a villain who has aces through nines, Ace King, and Ace Queen. Like, that would have been state-of-the-art shit at the time.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So was it troubling that I was using Poker Stove in 2001?
No, but 2001 we had a different poker economy than we do now, I guess.
So?
I'm interested in the overall health of the poker economy. That's all.
Software
does damage to that, the overall poker economy.
Of course it does. But I mean, what's your proposal?
I don't have one. I'm just making a general overall. I don't know. I'm not trying to say Ben has it or Ben does it. I'm saying it was brought up. I'm not saying I can do anything about it. I don't
understand why it's troubling. I mean, that's like saying,
because in a general sense, as software gets better and better and better, it's going to make online poker unplayable at some point. It just naturally carries out that that's going to happen. So I think online poker has to do something along the lines to keep itself healthy and viable for the future to stop that from happening.
How do you stop offline simulation?
I don't know. I don't have answers for that. I'm just saying in a general sense. I'm not saying that I have the answers. I'm not saying Ben's doing it. I'm just saying in a general sense, it's bad when that happens, in my opinion. That's all.
I mean, okay. It's bad. I mean, I think it's bad that people shoot each other with guns. But I mean, this is a lot like saying, like, we should get rid of guns. Like, it's just...
We should get rid of guns. Totally agree with that. We should.
I mean, but it's like present a path by which we get rid of guns, right? Or just you're just disturbed by the concept that there are guns in the world.
Well, no, I'm can point to statistics quite easily that the more readily available guns are, the more people die. I think that's pretty simple. I don't know why we're on the gun analogy, but I'm just saying, if you tell me what you disagree with what I said about.
I disagree with the idea that the best players in the world shouldn't be like they're not going to be out there, that they shouldn't be out there trying to be the best players in the world by running computer simulations or machine learning or whatever it is they're doing, as long as they're not doing it while they're playing.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't use on their own time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as if this nebulous concept of being able to run software concurrently with when you're playing, to be able to plug in hands to spit out GTO approach to playing a game is bad. And studying like you did with hang on, let me finish, Steve. Let me finish. Studying like you did with Poker Stove, like the best players in the world would, away from the table or not during the time that they're playing concurrently. Obviously, they're going to do that, and obviously that's a good thing. But
that's
there
a
is
good thing.
What?
So studying offline is a good thing, but
yes, I have
okay,
no problem.
Well, it already is. As far as I know, I could be wrong. As far as I know, it already is not legal and not allowed by stars to run third-party software while you're playing for the decisions that have to do with it.
It's illegal to run identifiable third-party software that they've said you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. There's
right. So is the
clearly
Ben is doing this while he's playing?
Again, I don't want to get back to talking about Ben. I want to talk about it in a general sense because I don't know anything about Ben. I don't know if he's doing it. I don't know if he isn't doing it. It was just brought up.
Right, but if we're talking about the
context.
quote-unquote dream machine, like I don't know what this dream machine is, so it doesn't seem reasonable to speculate. Right. I mean, so I don't like. Why are we speculating on this thing that, like, it's a very simple line in the sand. If he's using something that helps him make better decisions while he's playing, that's something that contravenes the site's TOS. If it's a study tool, then it's a study tool, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's an easy line in the sand to draw as you might think, though. I think you can blur that line pretty easily with studying while you're playing. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways that I can think of that are getting close to the line, right? That is drawn by stars, and they don't have the problem becomes enforcement for sites like stars when they don't know what they're up against, right? They're these nebulous concepts like we're talking about.
I mean, they've decided that if you're running software that I don't know what the terminology is, if they're running software that makes the decisions for you, then that's not allowed on the site, and you're not allowed to do that, and they can shut down your account and lock up your money and so on and so forth, right? So if your software doesn't do that, then it necessarily is within the rules, right?
Okay. Well, but I guess we don't know if there is a quote-unquote dream machine. We don't know exactly what it does and what it doesn't do. That's all. Anyway, we're going to have to encourage you to disagree, I think, on this one. But if there's something that I wasn't clear about, let me know, and I'll try and clear it up. I just think in a general sense, it bothers me when we're up against software like that. That's all. Just for the long-term health of online poker, but you may disagree. Let's move on. In case you missed it, more unethical behavior. Reports of David Baazov. This is the ex-CEO of the Rational Group. CFO? No, he wasn't the financial officer. CEO.
Right.
Was he the financial officer?
No, he was the CEO. You're right.
He is CEO, yeah. So some of the behavior that he's currently under investigation for and resigned from Rational Group has come to light. A Quebec securities regulator has filed a report on Baazov alleging insider trading, and they detail out some stuff that happened. A June 25th, 2014 email from one of the 12 co-conspirators of Baazov. These are people that have had restrictions on their trading and while they're under investigation. An email indicated that there was a deal to kick back 10% of any profits that any profits that they would make from information from David Baazov about, takeovers and such and things that would cause price spikes in online gaming stocks. The deal was a kickback of 10% of profits after tax and costs were to be made back to Baazov. Under other industry deals that were profited on, and emails to his brother Josh with the accounting profit were found, and things like they'll have a check ready for David tomorrow were said. So, and Baazov, by the way, still denies any wrongdoing, but stuff like this coming out that they have emails of a guy saying, I'm going to send you 10% of this profit I just made off this tip you gave me, doesn't look very good for Baazov.
Yeah, and does this guy strike you as in any way like a criminal mastermind, by the way? Like, I mean, it just seems
emailing back and forth, send me my 10%.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but I mean, it almost seems like, wow, really? Like, this is how you do it? Like, he's got his brother involved in this too. The interesting thing that I saw about this is I was looking at I was reading some mainstream articles about it that and this would actually be it is according to the Globe and Mail, which is the largest Canadian newspaper, it is the biggest insider trading investigation in Canadian history. So pretty good for this like small time guy, but it's almost usually like you see how like a small-time guy tries to operate when he tries to conduct big-time fraud. Like, I feel like he's sort of like not in the big leagues of these guys who are just pulling the wool over the entire industry's eyes as it is.
Maybe it's an indictment on the Securities Commission not being able to actually prosecute anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of like, well, this guy couldn't have made it any easier for you by the looks of things. I mean, I'm no criminal genius, but I feel like I could have done a better job of this.
Yeah, maybe don't write an email saying I want my 10%. That's probably a bad idea. But
David Baazov is gonna like try and buy Apple after this.
Yeah, no kidding. But the fact that a site that was the beacon of online poker, it was so good for so many years. The industry was changing at the time that the Scheinberg sold to Baazov, and would Stars right now look the same as it did before? If Isai hadn't sold PokerStars, and would the site right now under Isai's stewardship be the same as it was? Probably not, because the industry's changed so much. But you look back on that and you go, wow, if that guy didn't manage to, all these smoke and mirrors, pull it off, we might be better off as a industry.
It's possible. I mean, like, that's the thing. I think my view of the Amaya PokerStars is sort of they're sort of engaging in this self-fulfilling prophecy where I don't know if they believe that really in the future that they're going to be a poker site, and that poker is a viable thing, and that sort of, like I said, becomes like this vicious cycle where they put fewer resources into it. I mean, we're getting a bit off topic here, but it's ground that we've treaded on a bunch of times. Sure. And the valuing of the high stakes players and the supernovas and all that kind of stuff. So as soon as you sort of, as a company, culturally decide that that poker isn't going to be a core competency of your business, or at least poker the way that it's been for the last 15 years in online poker, then it accelerates and it just becomes a snowball rolling down the hill, picking up steam. Whereas, if PokerStars were still a Scheinberg company, I feel like they would be trying to innovate, they would be trying to do more things, but poker would still very much be at the heart of things. I mean, I can't say, maybe they would also pivot out of this too. Maybe they would sort of see the writing on the wall, and and going to the conversation that we just had 5 minutes ago, if things like artificial intelligence are a threat to online poker, if the lack of casual players is a threat to all of these various threats to online poker that we're so well aware of, if the writing's on the wall, maybe they pivot away too, or whatever it is, or maybe they just try to squeeze all the juice out of the lemon before you discard the peel. But I mean, it's clear that sort of in a I don't know, better regulated security system that David Baazov was probably not, that Amaya is probably not in charge of PokerStars today.
In case just one quick PokerStars note, Jason Mercier, I noticed, is going to stream the 100K super high roller of this year's World Championship Online Poker. He's going to stream it on Twitch on a 15-minute delay. Pretty cool that you're going to be able to watch a guy play a 100K tournament and see how he plays. And if you're out there and you're looking for tools for MTTs, some training sites are out there, obviously, sure. But watching Jason Mercier play 100K super high roller, is it going to, are you going to be able to directly use a lot of this stuff into your game? Maybe not, but I think watching that kind of stuff, you absorb, how he acts, how he responds to different things. I think it's really cool to be able to watch that.
I think people of all skill levels are going to get value out of this. I mean, to be able to see various ranges and stuff like that. I don't know that, you mentioned that Jason Mercier was the favorite in the betting market, which I think surprised a lot of people. He goes off at 12-1 with a list of just elite no limit hold'em specialists. Whereas, Jason, we often talk about as a guy who's a generalist, not as a no limit hold'em boss. Obviously, a great overall player, overall boss. And so, but what I was going to say is I think people of all levels are going to get into it. I think the intermediate players are going to get a ton out of it. They'll be able to sort of see the maneuvering of a high stakes player. I don't know how much talking he does on a stream. Yeah. I've never actually watched Jason stream before, so that'll be sort of interesting. I think that's the sort of part that I think provides a lot of value to casual players when the elite players actually explain their thought processes.
I think that I was watching Daniel Negreanu's interview with Joey the other night, and Daniel mentioned that he was probably going to stream the 100K. I'm not sure if that's still happening. And Doug Polk will probably stream it, but he'll probably cover his whole card. So that could potentially be 3 people streaming the 100K.
Oh, that'd be cool. When they get to the same table, you can kind of flick back and forth. T, you mentioned it. BetStars has put out a market for the event and have listed Mercier and Phil Ivey as the 13-1 favorites.
Take the underdogs.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, I think there was 25 or something like that people listed. Their odds were listed as high as 60-1 in that range.
The live players are the favorites. Seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, just take, any of the guys at 61 have to be better value than guys at 13-1 in a 50 person field or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's no way there's a, when you're talking about the main event, yeah, there's some guys who probably have like 5 times a better chance of winning than the average person, but certainly not in this thing. Even Doug Polk went off at 33-1. It must have been something for the ego there compared to some of these really crazy odds. Jason Kuhn out there at 40-1, Jason Moe out there at 50-1.
Okay, so let's take Jason Kuhn. 40-1. Is he, 3.5 times worse than Jason Mercier and No Limit Hold'em?
I certainly don't think so. There's no way that Jason Mercier is 3.5 times more likely to win than Jason Kuhn. Like, knowing very little about how either of them play poker, just based solely on resume and reputation, I can't imagine that that's true.
Yeah, it seems like, I haven't looked at the limits. It might be like $20 limit you can bet max or something because they don't want any exposure, but they get the, PR of having their one of their main players listed as a co-favorite in the event.
Yeah, there's some of that. Knowing that like the betting market isn't going to be super liquid, and you're going to bet on it. Like I don't think you can bet like $5K on this thing. I mean, I imagine like the limit's probably like $50 or something like that.
All right, that's going to do it for this segment. We're going to come back. We've got some emails to get to and some Ross hands. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast. Keep it right here.
What's up, guys? If you're serious about online poker tournament statistics, you got to check out sharkscope.com. They've been the leader in online poker tournament tracking for over 10 years. If you've ever had the experience of being in an online tournament and being worried that your opponent might be a dangerous shark, sharkscope.com will tell you. And your first 5 searches every day are free. If you log in with your Facebook account, they'll double that to 10 searches. So get on over to sharkscope.com, track your stats, and improve your win rate today.
Okay, people. Most of the kittens have perished. There are a few left you can save, though, and here's how to do it. Get involved with the Pokercast by emailing your questions, suggestions for the show, or even record a sound clip. Adam will be using the best ones on the air. Well, let's face it, probably the worst ones as well. I can see you there at your computer. Send an email right now. Totally disagree with one of Adam's takes last week? Send an email. Love last week's interview? Email. Want to know how much cash Adam has on him right now? Email. Pokercast at 2plus2.com is the address. Ship the funny to Adam today.
Hey, T-Chan here. Now that you've been listening to me and Adam give you the latest news in the poker world, it's time for you to give your 2 cents. So come hang out with the rest of the Pokercast Nation on the forums at pokercast.2plus2.com. There you can leave feedback about the show, give the world your hot takes on this week's stories, or just leave Roscoe your best sports betting advice. He needs the help. That's the forums at pokercast.2plus2.com. The best part? It's available no matter how many miles you are from Kells.
Welcome back to the 2+2 Pokercast. Let's jump right into the mailbag.
And now.
That right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Malcolm? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay?
Mailbag. Email number 1.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Brady up in Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I've been listening since like 2009, maybe around PokerCast 39, something in that range. Got caught up from there and just have been a consistent fan. You guys are the best. I missed MJ. Shout out to MJ and maybe getting him back on. That's always great. I try to figure out how far from Kells I am. It's a long-ass way. too far to find. Google can't tell me. So, but I can tell you it's 15 degrees Celsius here, which is about 60. I did look that up for you Canadians, so shout out to the Canadians. Anyway, no casinos in Anchorage, Alaska. I wanted to give a quick update on. I liked the guy from New York had an awesome story that was really cool to hear, and then the other guy wrote in, so I thought I'd give a shout out to Alaska scene. So there's no casinos. There's a big native corporation, but nobody. I don't know what the laws are on that. There's these stupid pull tab things. It's like some gambling thing, but it's a dumb thing. And anyway, so everything's underground, either home game or whatever. I have a cool house that I play at. These guys run a pretty sweet game. It's they do like 3 tournaments every week, and there's cash games that run pretty much every night. It's just like a house that's been converted solely to like a poker house, but I just ate a delicious chicken marsala, and I can order pretty much whatever I want to drink, and there's like a massage girl, so it's kind of like being at a casino, except the people are a lot nicer, and it's really soft, super fun games. Basically, it's a $100 rebuy tournament. It's basically a hyper turbo, but it's a pretty fun tournament, and there's a lot of soft play in there, and so you can get in there and get some chips built up and have a pretty good time. And there's a pretty juicy cash game that runs, usually 1-2 hold'em, and then there's a 2-5 mixed game that runs. It's super juicy. It's a pretty big rake. Tough to beat that, but a lot of soft play, so some easy spots there. And actually, I don't have any specific hands from that game. It's been a while since I've been able to play. I work full time, so I only get to play about once a week, and I usually just try to send it in the tournament, see how I do. But there's a game on the list. I don't know why they, for some reason, have all these. It's not a normal mixed game, but one of the games you can play is Shuck 2. It's my least favorite game, but a lot of people pick it, like some gambly Asians love the game. And basically it's a variant of 6-card stud. It's dealt like 7-card stud, except that the 6th card, you have a decision of either you can pass or you can shuck 2. So you can pick 2 of your 6 cards, throw them away, and get dealt 2 new cards. Everything's played pot limit, so it's this crazy pot limit stud game. Basically, my strategy is to never play it. It's best possible. I try to call PLO as much as possible. Shout out to all the PLO strategy. That's helped a ton. But if you guys had maybe some advice on that game, it's just kind of a weird game, and I just maybe some strategy on if you get involved in the hand with that. So, other than that, man, shout out to my boy Lawrence for introducing me to the Pokercast many years ago, and you guys have an awesome show. And I'll try to call in again with a cool hand. I'm on break at the tournament, so hopefully this will ship me some run good. All right, boys. Peace out.
Epic call from Brady in Anchorage. By the way, Gavin Smith is in Anchorage. I think he has a game up there as well. So
that's correct.
I can't believe Anchorage would be too big. So I'm sure
Alaska strikes me as a place that's just designed to have a really good poker scene. I mean, because you've got wealthy people, not a whole lot to do, and shitty weather for a good part of the year. That's just seems to me like, it just seems to me like it probably would add up to a good poker scene. These companies. I mean, right now I know they're in the middle of summer, so it's probably one of those like weird 20-hour perpetual daylight things where everybody has to wear eye masks to be able to fall asleep. But yeah, so. Pot limit stud with a 2-card discard on 6th Street.
And it's played like 7 cards, so I'm guessing 2 down, 3 up, and then you decide if you're going to... Like, how would you ever not throw away... if you don't take 2, man, you're strong. Like, that's... You know what I mean? Like...
I guess your 5th and 6th cards have to be down, right? Because it doesn't really make sense, or maybe it does. Maybe they're played face up. I don't know.
2 down, not that clear. 3. For me, it sounds like it's 2 down, 3 up. No. 2 down, 3 up, 1 down.
2 down, 3 up, 1 down. But you're pitching the last 2. I thought, or did I misunderstand this completely?
6th Street, he said on 6th Street you can pitch 2, chuck 2, right?
Oh, so maybe any of your whole cards.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess, boy, what's the most important thing? I guess it's disguised hands, right? I mean, because if you're still playing with the board face up, like if you're still playing with, so you've got 3 cards up.
Do you throw Down cards, up cards, more frequently.
Yeah, I don't know. See, what I don't understand about this is whether you're allowed to throw away your up cards, right? Because if you're allowed to throw away your up cards, that changes things a lot, right? Because if you were allowed to throw it, you could have something like buried trips,
right?
And then improve to a full house very easily without it being known to anybody, and then that would be really powerful. So I don't know. It's really hard to figure out the shred. If it's only down cards that you can throw away. I mean, I don't know how often that you can actually even get to the river without liking at least two of your whole cards, right? Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, how did you get in this situation where you're throwing away your 2 cards? So I'm a little bit confused by the nature of the hand. So
well, it seems like it should be, and that's the case. So it seems like there should. I can't imagine that it isn't. You could throw away any of your cards because, as you said, you'd almost never get to 6th Street because you hate your hole cards, right?
Right, so you can toss away some combination of your up cards and your down cards. We'll assume that it's that. Yeah, so I guess that's the point, is that you want to make like really well disguised hands. Trips would be really valuable because their potential to improve to both quads and a full house without anybody knowing it. And the fact that it's pot limit would make that tremendously valuable too. And so I guess also you would have to be very aware if anybody is potentially straight flushing on board. So if they have connectors, if they have suited connectors on board, you would have to be very aware that there's a very good chance that if they're at the, like, so say somebody has like 6, 9, 10 of hearts on board, you can assume they probably have the 7 or 8 of the hearts in their hand, and then when they're pitching 2, that's 2 shots at a straight flush, like at a gut shot straight flush, sure. But they're most of the time they're going to end up with a straight or a flush, based or sometimes a straight flush based on that, and the fact that it's pot limit means it's very dangerous. Say you did make quads and then you bet out and the guy raised you the pot after drawing to say a 7, 9, 10. If you have disguised quads and the other guy is showing like even something like 6, 9, 10 suited on board, you'd have to think, oh shit, I might just be against the straight flush here. So interesting game.
With your strong up card boards, you could bluff by standing, not chucking 2. You know what I mean? Like, so let's say you got a really powerful board like the ones you were saying, and then you get to 6th Street, you go, no, I'm good. I'm not changing any of my cards, and it's pot limit. And now the guy makes a big bluff at you. Wow.
Right, that's kind of for like all pot limit games, I guess, especially, but like any sort of like pot limit stud game, yeah, that's certainly true. Like you're combining, what you're saying is sort of combining 2 aspects of draw and stud, right? So like you're bluffing because your board is strong, and similarly in draw, we see, in draw it's generally called snowing, right? When you make, sort of bluffs like this, in low ball, where you just, you kind of pat and just bet your way through, kind of people, have to assume they have to give you credit for a big hand. And often you can pull off some bluffs in that situation. So interesting. I wouldn't avoid the game. Chances are that even if you don't feel comfortable at it, there's profit to be made as a thinking poker player. You should always try to play different poker games. I would guess the big thing is on the early streets, don't make the pot too big, because obviously being pot limit, pot management is really important. So don't just be like, oh, I have the best hand right now here on 3rd Street, so I have to put in a raise, because that's not the way that pot limit games work.
All right. Brady making the case for Anchorage, Alaska as one of the poker destinations in North America.
Anchorage is really walkable, or bus, or yeah. Well, it wasn't the guy last week. He said he wanted to get around on his bicycle. I'm not sure that's the place you want to
go. Email number 2.
Still, ST in LA writes, hey guys, this past weekend I played in a home tournament that runs monthly. It's a low stakes $20 buy-in with unlimited rebuys for the first 3 levels. The following situation occurred. We were on the bubble paying 4 places, and I was under the gun as the short stack with about 2.5 big blinds. Pretty steep structure, so the deep stack had about 30 big blinds, if that's relevant. I had ace 10 off and shoved. Everybody folded to the small blind who called. The big blind folded. The cards flipped on their backs, and the small blind had king, queen off with barely more than a chip and a chair. It's as good a spot as I could have hoped for. The dealer then inexplicably picked up the muck cards and shuffled them into the stub. We consulted our host, director, who had no clue how to handle the situation. What should he have done? Wow, that's ugly, first of all. Second of all, all the discards are now in the deck.
And so, you can't separate them. So I mean, I guess you just really have to shuffle the whole thing, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I can't
think
see any other way out of it.
Well, we have action, right? We have significant action. We have a deck.
Yep.
It seems to me...
The hand's got to play out, right?
Yeah, I think because of the actions already happened, the hand has to play out. You have a deck that's obviously, compromised to some degree, but it's still somewhat...
It's still random.
It's still random. I think you shuffle and you deal that one out.
I agree, 100%.
Email number 3.
Guy from Brazil writes, sorry to break the news, but right now Terrence is the third best endurance athlete on the Pokercast, since I am the half marathonist he mentioned and not the guy who's going to Ireland. Congratulations on the new sponsor. I hope the Pokercast lives forever. I love this podcast. When you guys read my first email, you were saying that some Brazilians have funny names inspired in celebrities. So I thought you guys might enjoy knowing that a few months ago, Sylvester Stallone was arrested here in the state where we live in. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, Brazil is an interesting culture thing. They like American culture and doing things weird. I'm not the third best endurance athlete. I'm not an endurance athlete. I don't run.
You're not.
I don't. But Sylvester Stallone being arrested, fantastic.
Email number
004. Hit my Jones up on the low.
Dean writes, hey guys, long-time listener and grinder from London, England, 514, 528, or 555 kilometers from Kells, depending on which one you mean.
So there are multiple Kells?
There's 3 Kells. Crazy. I just want to let you guys know that I really enjoyed the interview with the underground New York dealer, Ian. Found it interesting hearing about some of the stories surrounding the crazy underground New York games, something I've never been privy to or have experienced myself, even here at home. Anyway, the reason for my email is I wanted to share with you a tidbit that hearing his stories reminded me of. A couple times he mentioned about the cops turning up and breaking down the doors with a battering ram thing. Well, over here, that piece of equipment is known as the Big Red Key, as it is read, and can pretty much open any door. I've seen it used on TV, and it's pretty effective. Hopefully, I never find myself in a game where it's put to use, but you never know. Anyways, I want to say I love the show. It's been my go-to grind podcast for many years, and long may that last. Keep up the good work. It warmed my feelings at night. Yeah, the Big Red Key. Big Red Key there is the battering ram that cops show up with when they're knocking down the door. I've seen the battering ram used on my block, T. They have a giant battering ram here, too, when they do house raids. And, I mean, I live in a decent neighborhood, and across the street, there was a grow-op for years and years and years. And we always thought it was something was going on. People weren't there, whatever. You could smell a little bit. But one day I'm driving into my house. I come down the street, and there's like 10 cop cars and a whole bunch of cops standing up front, dogs. And they're just about to hammer the door down. This battering ram, it takes like 6 people to hold, 3 on each side. It's this giant thing. They swing back and forth and just do the door. And it was and I pulled over, and the cop took me and said, you should have reported us. And she was getting mad at me for not reporting the grow up.
Do your job.
Yeah, I was
gonna say, like, living next to a grow up, I feel like is almost the most quintessential like Vancouver kind of thing. Like, yeah, like my cousins were next to a grow up for years. It's like the most. It's like one of those like things you share on Facebook. It's like you're from Vancouver when there's a grow up next door is one of those ones. But yeah, you getting dressed down. But you should have just been like, no, fuck you. I hate pigs, and I don't. And I think marijuana should be legal anyway. So you go do your own dirty bullshit work.
I read that if they were to bust a grow up every day for a year, they wouldn't touch like 1% of them.
Oh, right. Wow. They're not as ubiquitous anymore because
it's legal.
We've basically made it legal here in Canada. But yeah, but back in 6-8 years ago, they're on every block for sure.
Right. It's Who would have thought that legalizing drugs works?
Everybody.
Email number.
It's number 5.
Adam, your fellow Adam, has written in, and he has just come up with an Omaha variant. It's played 5 cards like Big O. Players expose a card on each street before the betting starts. Players don't expose a card pre-flop. At the end, after the river round of betting, each player has 3 cards face up and 2 cards face down. Craziest poker story from our underground poker game. A smashed rando chick showed up to the game. No one knew her, but she was hot and loaded, so we figured she wasn't a cop. She told the table full of guys that she had a habit of exposing herself when she won a hand. Sure enough, she scooped a small pot and lifted up her top, showing us her boobs. The guys at the table, including myself, soft played her and folded to small bets until she busted. Each time she won, she would lift her shirt. Oh,
She's
man.
a genius.
This is a great. Yeah, I mean, if your style is to steal small pots, then this is probably going to be fairly effective. Don't know if this will fly at, say, like the World Series, and how you'll be taken by the other women who are trying to be professional poker players and trying to get some credibility and respectability into this game for the female poker players. Not sure you'd make a lot of best friends there, but you'd probably steal some small pots.
I mean, when she plays, all she got to do is bet a tenth of the pot. Oh, okay, you take it.
It's like, I have a set. That's no good, right?
I don't think this strategy is Kate Hall approved.
No, probably not.
Email number
6.
Ryan from Georgia. Hey, guys, if you stack poker chips and lay them on the side, I am $179,143 million away from Kells. I used to host a weekly... that deserves the pipes. I used to host a weekly poker game at my house. One day we were reaching the end of a hand when one guy goes all in. The other guy immediately calls and just ships the money to the other guy and basically runs out the door without saying anything. No one knew what was going on, but he accidentally exposed his cards as he left. He had absolutely nothing. We're all trying to figure out what happened until a few minutes later we started to smell something. Walk into the living room and saw little clumps of shit leading to the door. The poor guy shit his pants.
We're getting all kinds of good stories this week. We're getting polarized range. We're getting hot girls taking their tops off, and we got dudes shitting their pants at the poker table.
Man, did this dude just did this?
The cleaning bill's got to come out of the winner's prize pool there, the carpet cleaning bill, because that's not fair.
Yeah. Wow. All right, then.
Email number
7.
Dan writes in. He's from Philly, which he points out is 3,072 miles from Kells. Great podcast as always. I never leave out for a long card chat without the latest episode or two. Well, I like to hear your opinions on things. I have a baseball-related question, so I'm going to throw Ross a bone and ask him. One thing that drives me nuts when watching baseball is when a batter strikes out looking at an 0-2 or 1-2 count. What is he hoping for by taking a marginal pitch? Another ball may help him chip up, but another strike and he goes busto, so to speak. In a sport that's so obsessed with statistically correct strategies, don't you think this is a strategic fail? So I guess, Ross, you're now the sabermetrician of...
Wait a second.
Oh, yeah.
I've played and watched baseball all my life. Why does Ross get this question?
Hey, Adam. The Chicago had a sick record.
The Chicago's doing well?
How are they doing on the 0-2 counts?
Yeah. Okay. Well, should we both try and answer this?
Okay. Go.
Okay. Well, yeah. It really tilts me when I'm watching baseball and they look at the 3-0 pitch. But I think it's just batter discretion. Like, they either think that the pitcher can't throw a strike. They're hoping for a call that goes their way. It could be a whole bunch of things. I think that is. You're talking about the
3-0 pitch? I'm talking
in general, taking a strike, looking.
Okay, well, 3-0 pitch I think is pretty clear, because if it's a ball, he gets a base. If it's a strike, he's not much further behind, right? So
right, but they always just throw it right down the middle in a 3-0 count. It seems like.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, it's also coming 95 miles an hour. But what about the 0-2 pitch or the 1-2 count that he's talking about?
Yeah, well, I was saying that I think it's the batter's discretion. Like, if they see the ball leave the pitcher's hand at a certain angle that they think is going to be a ball, obviously you have less than a second to react to such a fast pitch.
Right.
So you take a lot of at bats, and it's kind of just like a trial and error thing. Sometimes you look stupid.
Okay, so 0-2 and 1-2 counts. Pitchers generally, well, let's talk about an 0-2 count first of all. So pitchers generally, when they get up 1-2, aren't going to throw one down the middle because they're way ahead in the count. They're not going to groove one so a guy can, hit it easily. So they almost always waste a pitch.
Yeah, well, unless you're Paul Clemens of the San Diego Padres last night versus the Red Sox, and you have the under.
Are we still doing that? Okay. I saw you banked like a 9-teamer or something a couple of weeks ago. That was fun.
Yeah.
But so 0-2 counts, pitcher roll off and waste one. So that time that they do throw one on the edge of the plate and they strike out, it's really tough for a batter because A, he knows he's not going to get a good pitch, and B, he's got to protect the plate. But as you said, he has like a second to decide. Like he's got to watch the ball come out of the guy's hands. I mean, there's lots of. It should be physically impossible to hit a 100-mile-an-hour pitch from that close, but obviously they do it. There's a game surrounded by it. But and so when you get tilted by a guy in a really tough spot taking a pitch, I mean I get it, but try and stand up there against some of these guys and see if you can hit it. It's pretty tough.
Right, and it's a game theory problem on both sides, right? So as you pointed out, right, like so the pitcher both the pitcher and the batter know that most of the time he's not going to throw one right down the middle and give the batter an opportunity, but some percentage of the time he's going to, because if he literally never does that, the pitcher, the batter's just going to most of the time just shade towards looking at it. So it just becomes this adjusting equilibrium thing where, okay, he's not going to throw one down the middle, so it's very likely to go outside and very likely to be a ball. Well, of course the pitcher realizes that, shades it more towards the middle, and shades it, and it just iterates back and forth. And I think that actually people do a reasonably good job at game theory kind of intuitively in this way. When you're talking, I don't know anything about baseball, but I in my experience, people who just have a lot of experience kind of doing this stuff intuitively do it well. It's sort of like the quote-unquote experts, like coaches, who do tend to fuck these things up.
Yeah, and you find guys that are really good contact hitters, and them, meaning that they're really good at getting bat on ball, that they'll foul a lot of pitches off on purpose. They'll say, "Oh, it's they'll see the pitch coming in, and it might hit the outside corner. I'll just stick my bat out and foul it off, and won't take any chance," kind of thing. But yeah, good email.
That is a really awesome thing. Since I've been watching so much baseball, I really like the dynamic of somebody who takes like a 10 pitch at bat every time they get to the plate.
Just work the pitcher, yeah.
And it's either like, you're just going to walk me, or I'm just going to foul this or get a hit. And it's just a battle. It's great.
I remember reading a stat about Wade Boggs, and Wade Boggs is one of the best hitters of all time. I think it was something like, and I could have this wrong, but it was like he swung and missed at a pitch 6 times the entire season.
What?
Wow. Which when you think about guys throwing, 95 miles an hour that close, and the fact that he swung and missed 6, it's just mind-boggling how good that is.
Yeah.
But, anyway,
I think Mike Trout is the guy to watch now if you want to watch a good bat like that.
Indeed. Quickly, 5 show reviews this week, guys. We had one trickling in here and there. We got 5 last week. That's awesome. Thanks so much to Dr. Hayes 555, CT Zombie Fan, Brian Mac 11, Anthony NCEMT, and Wasamata is another guy who left a message. And he said, "Hey guys, this is Nick Jones from Antelope, California, 4,975 miles from Kells. Adam, T-Chan, and Roscoe do a great job of delivering quality poker content multiple times weekly. I particularly enjoy the In Case You Missed It segment. Seems I missed nearly everything. The drops are hilarious too. On episode 6, season 3 of High Stakes Poker, Elia Lesra said, 'Nice speech' after facing Big River Rays from Eric Lindgren. I'd like to recommend that drop to Roscoe. In short, humorous and can be anyone who goes off on a diatribe. Thanks for all the hours of information and entertainment." Yeah, great idea. I remember that comment from Ellie. So Roscoe, mix that into the drops maybe.
I will find it.
Every time I talk, he's going to drop it on me.
How about with some 140 or less?
140 characters. That's it. I love hashtags. I love all of them.
Terrence Chan
needs more than 140 characters to express himself.
140 or less.
All right, Roscoe, you throw these in there. What do you got?
Yeah, I had these compiled over the last week of, let me just open the thing here. Yeah, these are just my favorites. This is one from Dan O'Brien at Dan O'Brien Poker. A radio ad says, "Run a marathon, half marathon, or 10K. There's a distance for everybody." Dan says, "Not yet, there isn't. Keep going, buddy."
Keep going as in getting lower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan's out there. Dan's not built like a marathon runner, in fairness to him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Terrence Chan at T-Chan Poker said, "Just got way too excited. The current time was 12:01 so that I could one-touch set the clock on the coffee maker that I always unplug." And I really like this tweet because I can totally relate to that. Whenever I use the microwave, if I'm doing something for a minute, I just go 111 or 222. I do the least amount of button presses.
I've never put in 1 minute on the microwave. Yeah, it's always 111 or 44 seconds sometimes or 55 seconds. But I can't be bothered to find the zero.
I'm not pressing more than one button.
What have I been doing with my life? How did I not know this?
Every there's a reason that Ross, maybe I'm not sure, he's a little bit younger, but Adam certainly remembers the time where microwaves, like, they only had 10 buttons, right? Like, they only had the thing and the start button.
Oh, they had a dial.
Now you've got the add 1 minute button. Huh? Yeah, they had a dial. But that in some ways the dial's easier, right? But now you cannot buy our microwave anywhere in the store. It doesn't have like a 30-second button or an add 1 minute button because people can't be bothered to put 100 enter or 30 enter. So they made that add 30 seconds button or add 1 minute button or the quick start button or whatever the button it is because people are that lazy. Like, here's this device that will instantly take a raw food, a piece of meat that's like right out of like the refrigerator that was killed on some farm somewhere, and it will turn it into a food safe, completely viable meal for you in like a minute and a half. And yet we can't be bothered to like press 4 buttons. We've got to press 1 button. But yeah, I was walking through the kitchen yesterday. I looked at the stove clock, which of course the stove clock never turns off because when do you ever unplug your stove? It said 12:01. And then I went to go make coffee, and I looked, and the coffee maker was blinking the 12 at me, and the light bulb just perks into my eye, and I said, wait, the actual time's 12:01. The coffee maker's blinking 12. If I just hit the minute button once, it's going to be correct. And man, that felt like a win.
All right, if you guys want to open this one. There was a tweet by a guy named BIRS 320. Yeah, rake increases explained, and it's a picture of it looks like a 100-foot yacht named Maya.
I want that yacht.
Are you a yacht guy? That's the thing. I've never been a boat guy, and people always say when you get rich, I'm gonna have a boat. I've never been a boat guy. I don't know why.
It is. Awesome. You got to be so loaded to drive around on one of those boats. It probably burns like 500 in gas an hour.
Oh, that thing's ridiculous. That's a several $million boat that the guy has.
But even just like your average power boat, you spend like $200-300 a day.
And I know people who have boats, and then like they've subsequently sold them because like there's upkeep, like you got to park it or whatever it's called. Like, it seems like more of a pain in the ass than it's actually.
Do you know what it's called? You know what parking a boat's called? Come on.
I do. I can't think of it.
Throwing
right
money
now.
into the water.
Yeah.
Mooring the boat. Yeah, like the because you like they're all in expensive places, right? Like you can just put the damn thing wherever you want. Like they like what is it like? I'm looking over. I'm literally looking out right now over Falls Creek in Vancouver. Like, tell me what's a parking spot? What's a mooring spot?
Oh boy, I my first job actually growing up was running one of the marinas on Bowen, and I think it depends. For daily moorage, you're looking at like $1.50 a foot on your boat per day, it depends on the marina. And year round, it would probably be. I don't exactly know. It would be more than a car loan for sure.
It's certainly more expensive in downtown Vancouver than
Bowen,
but
how tilting is it to pay like $8 an hour for parking in downtown Vancouver?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of cute statements around boat owners, like the happiest day of their lives, or when the day they buy it and the day they sell it, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you got to enjoy being around the water and love being on the water.
The best boat is somebody else's boat, right? Like if you could just get access to like some other guy's boat, that's nuts, right?
Yeah, and what they do now, all this crowdfunding type thing that's going on now. There's actually fractional boat ownership now. So there's places where you can go, you can sign up.
Boat share?
There's like a $5,000 entry fee and $300 a month, and you have access to 20 different boats. And you can go down with your truck, pick up a boat, take off for a couple of days, come back and leave it. They clean it, they do everything. You pay the gas only, and you're set. Kind of, yeah. So it's
such a new economy thing. That like that's about the most 21st century thing I'll hear today.
Yeah.
I have kind of a funny story. So I would, my job at the marina was to sit on the dock, and it was the best summer job ever. I would get free ice cream and pop, and I would sit on a dock with a little bike and ride around and help people come in on their boats and just tie them up. And I was standing out on the end of the dock, and this guy on a big 40-foot big old 2-decker powerboat came in, and there was a sailboat behind him, and he's like, "Oh, I just got here from Keats in 20 minutes." And then he pulls ahead, and the sailboat comes up behind him, and he's like, "I just got here from Keats on $20.
That's good. All right, you got one more?
I think so. Pratouche. Oh yeah, I thought of Adam when I saw this one. The eagerness of people to stand in the line to get on the plane never ceases to baffle me.
It is utterly baffling. It is one of the strangest human behaviors that everybody seems to participate in. I mean, unless you really need the overhead luggage. That's the only circumstance. But you can't possibly have 100...
It's not understandable, because you could be last on the plane with 3 carry-ons, no space around you, and go to the steward or go to the stewardess, "Hey, I got these bags. Can you put them in up front, or can you do something with them?"
They'll check them if that happens. If they're out of space in the cabin, if they're really legit out of space, then they're going to check them for you. And then some people really don't want to deal with that, which is understandable. But I mean, there can't be 120 people on a plane who really need to get into the overhead compartment. That is business class. You want to be there because you're getting the champagne and the snacks or whatever. But the thing is, business class, you get the lounge, right? So I would you get the champagne and the cookies and all of that kind of stuff, but you would get that in the lounge anyway.
No, you know what it is? People want to watch the people walk by business class to go to cattle class and just kind of have a smirk on. That's what they want to be there for.
Maybe that's the value of it. I'm not going to lie. I have enjoyed that myself in the past. I'm not sure that I'm willing to pay $1,000 specifically for that privilege, but I'm not going to say it's not fun.
Somebody who there's a poker player named Alex Manzano who replied to that tweet, and he said, "At Pratouche Bradiga, what about when the plane lands and row 36 quickly stands up to wait for 35 rows ahead to leave?"
Oh, I know. That's ridiculous too.
I do that.
I can't understand plane behavior. All right, let's move on to the Ross Report.
Roscoe. Sure glad he's all right.
Listen, boy, you gotta pick your spots good. You gotta make hay while the sun shines. Hey, good. You dipstick.
It's time for a Roscoe Report.
All right. So I have all these subscriptions on Twitch, right? And you get an email when somebody goes live.
Okay.
And ever since WCOOP has started, it's just going off. It seems like I get 20 of these a day. So I've just been on Twitch watching poker, and it's gotten me back into the swing of tournament poker a little bit. So,
do you subscribe to anybody? Pay the $5 a month to be?
I don't know. I'm too cheap to do that. I don't really care about the emoticons.
Most of the people that he's watching make a lot more money than he does anyway, so it's reasonable.
This is true.
I feel like a chump because I do spend the $5 a month to be a subscriber to Doug's stream.
Really?
I feel like a chump now.
Well, I guess the upside to that, specifically for that stream, is that you get access to the VODs. Exactly. So you can watch whenever he does whatever, plays some cool high stakes. And earlier today, actually, he was playing Ike Heads Up 50-100 No Limit on stream with the cards covered, but Doug's really bad about keeping the cards covered because he just says his hand constantly. Okay.
All right, so let's get to this hand. You're playing a tournament?
Yeah, I played $15 180-man sit and go earlier this morning. Okay. So this is really early in the tournament, and I have more than doubled my stack, and I get into a confrontation with the other chip leader at the table. Would you like to read that?
Yeah, okay, let's do this. You have 4,100 blinds are 100, 200. So you have about 20. Wow, you're big stack with about 20 big blinds, and you're in the big blind with the Queen 10 of spades. Middle position raises. This is the big stack of the table. He only has a little bit more than you, 24 big blinds. He raises min raises to 400. Everybody folds to you, and you call. with the queen 10 of spades. 2 to the flop. The flop is 10 of clubs, 9 of spades, 3 of hearts. You flop top pair. It goes check, check. What were you planning on doing if you bet the flop there?
Probably just call.
Check call the flop?
Yeah.
The turn, so it goes check, check. The turn is the 6 of spades, giving you backdoor flush draw now. You bet half pot, he raises, and you call. 3 in the river, pairs the bottom card, doesn't bring the flush. You check, he shoves, you call. I think I'm probably going to get it in on the turn there, but I don't hate the way you played it, T. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of lean towards the way that Ross played the hand. I don't see a lot of value in shoving the turn. I mean, it's so unlikely that anyone here ever has a pure bluff that they can actually fold.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know your hand is not really vulnerable
so shallow,
to anything. Yeah, these are awkward tournament specific spots. There's nothing really he could, that you can chase away that has any sort of equity. So it just seems like you're waiting one street to get in bad, but then on the river you're getting priced in, so you call again. It's a gross spot, and you expect to lose like so often here.
Yeah, I was pretty confused.
Top pair. I mean, I would put my money in expecting to lose for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So he ended up having pocket sixes.
Oh, he turned us up.
Yeah. So it kind of makes sense looking back on it, but it doesn't, especially when I turn the flush draw, it doesn't really, it just seems like a bad beat, I guess.
Yep.
And so for some reason my poker tracker wouldn't help me find other hands, but I figured we'd look at some of the hands from the high stakes thread, and as Ansky said, the high stakes are back in full swing during WCOOP time, so there are some good hands played over the last couple of days. So
awesome.
One PLO hand, one no limit hand.
Okay, let's do the PLO hand. This is 6-handed with sauce 1, 2, 3 and Fute KK.
Futek.
Futek. Okay. All right. Sauce in the cutoff. 2 folds to sauce. He raises. This is 200, 400. He raises to 1880. And it folds to Futek in the big blind, who 3-bets to 6,300. Sauce is on 78,000. Futek on 54,000. So Futek 3-bets to. Yeah, they're very deep. Sauce calls in position. This is again PLO 200, 400. The flop is Jack 7-4, all spades. Futek bets 7,000, a little over half pot. Sauce calls. The turn is the deuce of spades. Futek now bets again, about the same, half pot. Sauce calls. So that's Jack 7-4 deuce, all spades. The river is the 7 of clubs. Futek now bets all in, about half pot, 27,000. Sauce folds. So the question here is, what was Sauce calling with on the turn? Is that the main question in this hand?
Well, yeah, I just thought that this was a weird spot, mostly because why call twice and then fold? The only situation I can really think of is maybe he had a set of jacks or something, maybe 2 pair,
and then he fills up on the river.
Oh, right.
So it can't be a set. So I mean, the obvious hand to me seems to be the king high flush.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wonder if at that point, though, I guess. Yeah, wow, that's a tough one.
The hand that makes the most sense to me is the king high flush, or the queen high flush.
Right, and then on the river, you're put in the position of, was he just bluffing with the nut blocker?
Right.
Yeah.
But your hand is a lot worse because, he can...
You can have jacks now. Interesting,
yep.
Yeah.
You could have a full house and a nut blocker, so...
I would call.
You would call? With king high flush? Tough spot.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this is a no limit hand now.
This
is a mixed no limit PLO game.
But this is a no limit hand.
Yeah, it's 100, 200.
It's a strange one.
Okay. Sauce again is in the game. 2 folds to Sauce, who it's 100, 200. Sauce raises to 520. Aaron 6-2-1 on the button, flats. Sauce has 73 big blinds. Aaron has 302 big blinds. The small blind calls, and the big blind 3 bets to 3,000. Sauce calls. Aaron behind him 4 bets now to 8,800. 2 folds to Sauce, who calls 5,800 more. Wow. So Sauce opens, guy in the button, guy behind him flats. Big blind 3 bets. Sauce calls. Now the guy behind him 4 bets. Wow, what a strong line that is. Okay, the flop is 7-4-4. Sauce leads all in for 5,600 into 21,000. The 4-better Aaron calls. The turn's a 10. River's a king. Sauce has pocket deuces. Aaron has aces, which, the way he played it, you would definitely think is a big part of his range, aces and kings.
Yep. I don't understand Sauce here. It seems like a misclick.
Yeah, it seems spewy.
There's got to be some history there. Like him and Aaron have to have had some kind of weird dynamic, I think. Maybe there's lots of ace kings in Aaron's range that Sauce thinks, and the flop comes 7-4-4, and he thinks he's ahead. I mean,
Aaron is the probably the spot in the game. I believe he's a Macau guy.
T, what are your thoughts on the hand?
Yeah, I mean, even that aside, you're calling 5,400 to win 15,000 pre-flop. I think that's pretty spewy given the amount of money that you have behind there. Because, you could say, okay, this guy is ace-king, and I'm going to shove on the dry flops or whatever. But you still have the situation where, an ace or a king flops, and then you just have to give up. Or you have the flop comes dry, and, it turns out he actually had what he was repping. Mm-hmm. So, unless you just see this all the time from this guy making like big 4-bet squeezes with like 10-6 offsuit or whatever like that, I mean, then that's possible. I mean, even then against somebody like that, I'm not sure the right play isn't then just stuffing it in with deuces and praying.
Yeah, it's a weird spot for sure. I think I don't know. I'm not going to tell Sauce what he should be doing with no limit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm confused. I'm as confused as you guys for sure. Just based on who it is.
Always be wary of the back 4-bet, the back raise 4-bet.
Such a strong line for sure.
It's like when somebody limp re-raises you in a 9-handed 1-2 no limit game.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for Unethical Behavior Week. Is that what we're calling it? Special thanks to...
Are you going to go and behave unethically now? Maybe just sort of rig it so that Rudy gets the last goaltending spot somehow.
They're kids. They can't screw over a kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's minor hockey. The parents have done shittier and crazier things than that.
You know what? We have a really good association. I'm proud of I'm on the board there, and I'm proud of the people that are involved. And it wasn't always the case, as you say. In the past, it's kind of been who you know, not how good you are. So that's gone. That's long gone.
I'm excited for next week. Hopefully, this NVG thread continues to develop. It's been quite good, and the 100K high roller is this Sunday.
Yeah, we can watch it on Twitch. Cool. We're going to come back. We're going to, I think we're going to try and squeeze an interview in this week. We'll do a quick show then. And thanks to Ross. Thanks to Terrence. You making some time, you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody out there listening. And we will talk to you soon.